Okay, onward to our, well, second. Onward to our next uh, reaction video here. For everybody who's been following this story here, it's been pretty big. Nasser's molesting a whole bunch of girls, and basically the guy's now going to jail. He's been sentenced twice, and I guess he gets. I guess nothing gets done. However, this father here decides to take it into his own hands. The title is called Watch. Father lunged at child molester in court for abusing daughters. Give me 5 minutes being in a locked room with that monster, father says at sentencing for district Olympic doctor. Olympic doctor? Well, that's interesting to know. A father of 3 daughters sexually abused by a former sports doctor lunged towards the perpetrator Friday during appearance in court. Larry Nasser, a former American State University and USA Gymnastics national team doctor who abused more than 150 girls and women during his career, was rushed by Randall Margraves during sentencing in Michigan. Well, more like over 200 girls, but who's counting? Margraves, who had just listened to 2 of his daughters address the court, began speaking to the judge for 5 minutes in a locked room with Nasser moments before the incident began. The judge declined to. As the article goes on here, you mean what after the father was being handcuffed? The judge declined to charge Matthews and resumed the hearing shortly afterward because he had to apologize for his actions. I mean, I just signed your death warrant, Ingham County Judge Rosenstein Equity just told Nasser at the time. In a letter to the court, Nasser defended his situation by claiming that his treatments worked. Yeah, right. And here's Owen Schroyer about that.
But here's the father of 3 of them who tries to take a moment of schoolyard justice into his own hands.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon. Would you do that?
That is not how
yes or no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Well,
And there he goes and he attacks the guy. Now, this is what I have a problem with. Why are the police officers beating the hell out of this guy now? To me, this is ridiculous right here. I understand that you can't let him lunge at the guy who just allegedly sexually assaulted over 150 girls. You know, we have to protect him. You know, don't let him. But then you have 5 people jump on this father and pin him down and arrest him. See, this is what I'm talking about. You know what? I'm just so sick of political correctness. I'm so sick of people who can't just have common sense. The guy is obviously mad that that man assaulted his 3 daughters, as well as over hundreds of other women. And he's the one that gets his face shoved into the ground and beaten up by police officers. 5 people have to jump on him. All you had to do was pull him away from the guy and remove him from the courtroom. But no, they got to pin him down. They got to shove their knee into his back. They got to put their elbow onto his forehead. All 5 of them have to pile on. But this serial assaulter over here, he gets away. No schoolyard justice for him. Yeah, until he gets to jail. We'll see what happens to him there. So I'm saying it's time for some schoolyard justice, baby. What would schoolyard justice for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton be? And then all of these fakers like Nancy Pelosi and Eric Swalwell and Ted Lieu who are standing up for him. I'm sick of all of them.
All right, thank you. Basically, and I know that basically you want to know how this whole thing happened. Well, back in 1997, Larry Nasser came on board, and technically he was just a normal doctor. And that's when the complaints started happening. And I guess it started happening at MSU or USA Gymnastics. I don't know which side that it started on. But basically, there were millions of reports going on and on and on about Nasser doing this to the people, doing these to these girls and women. Some parents didn't even believe them, pretty much, and they thought that their children were just a complete, they're just making this stuff up, like all kids do. We don't believe their children. We don't believe our kids. However, as he continued to work for the Kylie Ranch, and basically as the numbers of sexual abuse continued, they recommended Nasser to have a nurse, and even some parents actually showed up to be in the room with Nasser. However, according to the comment sections, people, and for one way or another, people did actually say something. It was just the fact that people were just looking the other way. I mean, parents showed up in the room with them, and Larry Nassar had them sitting on the opposite side while he did his sexual molestation in front of him. Heck, he even had a nurse in there too, and he did it right in front of her. So that's how, how it got that bad. I mean, the guy practically was just sneaky about it. Anyway, in 2006, Coach Carroll, and his wife, which they both own the Carroll Ranch, which is actually an elite training camp for gymnasts, basically retired in 2006. And they said they quit gymnastics and they sold the ranch. I'm guessing basically they finally realized that technically they let a child molester into their elite camp, and the backlash would have been massive. So they had no other choice but to retire and, well, sell the ranch. To be honest with you, I think what happened was that technically everybody said something at certain levels at like Michigan State University, and nobody did anything there. Some of the kids told their parents they didn't believe them. So pretty much technically, while Alex Robinson saying USA Gymnastics basically is 100% responsible, I wouldn't say 100% responsible, but I would more like say, I don't know, maybe like 50 to 60% of them were to blame, and then Morgan State is probably like, 30% to blame? But the real blame falls upon the parents themselves, because they didn't believe their children and their daughter that they're saying that Blanchard was actually sexually molesting them. So that probably is like 10% right there. So in a way, everybody can share the blame for this one. And the guy was already sentenced once already. He's already been sentenced twice. And now, as I'm pretty much coming on here and actually reading this, he's been sentenced a third time. To those girls who have been molested. What? I mean, the guy's already going into prison. What do you want out of the guy? You want to chop his balls off or something? I mean, really? The guy's already going to jail. You can actually stop now. We get it. Alright? Basically, I mean, I don't know what to say about on the subject like this, but technically what happened was that technically everybody knew what was going on, even at Michigan State University. Excuse me, almost got my ends mixed up. I almost said Morgan. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Let's just say I'm just mixing up my M's. But technically, what happened was that basically Michigan State knew about all this and did nothing. cops were told about this, and they were all like, "Oh, he's just doing all this stuff here," and basically, he was free to do whatever he wants. However, the biggest thing about this was that USA Gymnastics, which could be the culprit for them doing something, for them actually to do something, basically was also looking the other way. There were parents coming out. There were calls to parents saying that basically, there was investigations, all this stuff, when they weren't. So they pretty much lied to the parents right there. Some of the parents were probably being told basically, your child's not going to make it on the team, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that could be it. I mean, really, girls, is it worth that much to look the other way to be on the team? Is it worth that much, huh? And then there's also the illusion of payouts to parents to keep their mouth shut. There's like one certain gymnast who doesn't have any credibility anymore. I mean, basically, she took like what, $1.125 million to keep her mouth shut. But in a way, this is a travesty. The parents pretty much are to blame for this because A, they didn't believe their parents, they didn't believe their children, their daughters, or B, they basically saw gold medals and silver medals in their eyes because basically their children wanted to be that child to be an Olympic champion. I mean, it happens, folks. But this is really a travesty here, folks. So I'm hoping that basically I can clear this up, and I'm hoping Owen Schroyer is actually going to watch this video because technically he wasn't actually following this at all. So that's why I'm making this video here. So please, folks, if you really like the video, please like it. And I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think that these parents knew what was actually going on or not?